prepare food for us. We work. And every time that we have new children or the family is expanded, we just expand the house. My brother owns a construction company. And that way, as a group, we have 3 Toyotas, 1 Ferrari, and 1 Rolls Royce. And we can all use them anytime we like. And that was what introduced me and Andrew, because we were flat broke at the time. We had nothing to share. To the idea of certainly, you know what, if we can buy a supercar together, one nice car, then we can just share that car. And now, thanks to his car addiction, we have, 40 plus, minus the 10 or 11 that have been temporarily seized by the Romanian government. But yeah, it introduced us, I guess, to the concept of pooling your resources and sharing. And you know what? He's 100% right. That is a lesson you can learn from the Indians, from the Pakistanis, because it's benefited us massively.
And you guys live together here in this amazing compound. And Andrew said he foresees himself living with you the rest of his days.
Yeah.
How much of a factor was those stories from the Punjab guys to today living in Romania?
You know what? That was massive. And I don't speak to Bali anymore. So if you're out there, Bali, and you're listening, thank you for that. But people will even ask that nowadays. The way that, when you're a high net worth individual, the way things are owned is very tricky. You don't want, no high net worth individual has everything in his name. Let's just put it that way. But it's complicated the way things are owned. So sometimes people will ask me, there'll be 5 cars on the drive, and girls especially who are naive to these things will be like, which ones are yours and which ones are Andrew's? My honest answer is I don't actually know. I have to look at the papers to work out exactly what, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The keys are in this box in that room, and we can drive them whenever we like. And we never argue because there's so many. And when you build that abundance and you build yourself to the level of wealth me and Andrew are at, what are we going to argue about? There were times when we were kickboxing where we didn't have money for food. We used to eat cans of sardines. And there have been times splitting our last can over plain rice. Mm-hmm. So now people are like, it's weird that you share a house with your brother. I'm like, it's weird that you don't. I used to share my last can of food with him, and now we can't live in the same house. I've got 9 bedrooms. It's not like we're cramped for space. And otherwise, we just live in 2 separate houses with 4.5 bedrooms each. And drive to each other's houses every day? It wouldn't make sense.
But there's got to be 100% trust for this to work.
Oh, 100%.
Which is what you guys have.
But me and Andrew have a 100%.
It's very obvious.
Yeah.
Very obvious. Trust. So he gave you some love. What would you say about him? Like from your perspective, what strengths, who is Andrew to you, and maybe what are some strengths and things he does that the rest of the world doesn't see that you know?
Andrew is the hardest working man I've ever met. Even with the lifestyle he lives now, and as fun as it looks, and it is fun, and all the fun shit we do is real. Even if we are in a luxury hotel in the south of France where you're paying $10,000 per room, Andrew will be up at 7 o'clock in that hotel gym. He'll message me at 8:30. I have to wake up next to God knows who. Whiskey spilled all over the desk. But again, that inspires me. And he'll be like, emergency meeting in my room. Emergency meeting, you always say that. So I'll go to his room and say,
what's the emergency meeting?
And he'll bring up tiny issues with the business that, I could have slept on quite happily. But again, it's like me doing the exercise when he won't. It pushes me to be a better person. And Andrew will happily work 15, 16 hours a day and then go out and spend 4 or 5 hours having fun and blowing loads of money. It doesn't come from the sky. It's not magic. We're not trust fund kids. We didn't win the lottery. He is the hardest working man I have ever met. And the fact that I can even live with him and try to keep up is a testament to me, because it's difficult,
Because it's constant.
Yeah, and people don't see the work. Me and Andrew, we're in good shape. I don't post training videos and, fitness progress videos. I just do the work and let the results speak for itself. In terms of money and in terms of business and success, that's Andrew. Everyone's like, well, how does he have all this money? Maybe he's a criminal, So how does he have all this money? I know why he has all this money, because he's sitting right there at that desk at least 10 hours a day, even when we're not on house arrest. He'll be out in the evenings having his fun, and that's what we'll show to the world. This whole, hey, look at me, I'm at my laptop and I'm going to grind away for 6 hours. No one wants to see that on Instagram. No one wants to see that on social media. It's boring. They want to see you driving the Bugatti with a cigar in your mouth and a beautiful girl next to you. But that doesn't come without sitting at that desk for a good while first.
When's the last time you told Andrew no? Meaning, hey, I have an idea. Here's what I want to do. I'm the hardest working man in the world. Here's what I'm doing. I have an agenda. And you go, no, bad idea. Let's do this instead. Do you ever tell him no? How does this work in this relationship?
I guess the answer to your question would be, tell Andrew no why. We're 2 men with the exact same vision, aiming for the exact same goal. It's that old saying, with great power comes great responsibility. So telling Andrew no, you have to understand, I'm the only person in the world who can tell him no. Ever since Dad died, it's me, and that's it. So I'm not going to use that power over something trivial, over something that is a recommendation. If I don't think he should do something, I just know when he really, really shouldn't do something. And then I'll say no, but I literally can't think of an example. I can't. No, I can't think of an example where I've told Andrew no in the last couple of years.
That's the dynamic of the relationship between the two of you guys.
Indeed, but he's also the only person who can tell me no. And he doesn't really tell me no for anything. You know, I'm still a 34-year-old man, little brother or not. He's 36. I can make my own decisions. And none of us have the tendency to ever do anything that's really stupid. So...
At the peak, who was funner to party with?
Oh, I've always been the funnest to party with.
Really?
I'm still the fun one to party with today. No, don't worry about the peak. I haven't reached my peak yet. Like, I'm still working on it. Yeah. I'm the one, Andrew, I'm the kind of guy, I definitely take the party a bit too far. I'll give you an example. We'll go out to the club, there's 5 guys, 15 girls. We're all having fun, we're all partying, etc. We'll come home, Andrew will be like, okay, well, this is the girl I'm with, I'm gonna go to bed. It's 3 a.m. I know I could go to bed with one of these women at any one time. Back in my party days, I've calmed down a bit on the womanizing, I really have. And he'll be in bed at 3. I'll still stay up till 6, drinking with the guys. Because I think, let me squeeze the maximum amount of fun out of this night as possible. So obviously it gets ruined when it gets to 6 o'clock and the girl I like is now asleep or home. And it's like, oh, wait, well, you know, I definitely messed that one up. But I'll certainly try to have as much fun as possible. And it comes back to bite me sometimes. But
when's the last time you partied? You've been in jail. You haven't had one day of freedom this year.
No.
Right? You guys are known as these kickboxing, badass, womanizing party guys, but Andrew's been very subdued. He's converted to Islam. He's not drinking.
No, he doesn't drink anymore.
When's the last time that you had a fun night out on the town?
A fun night out on the town, I don't know. But I had a fun night right here in my house when my camera guy showed up. I'm going to say his name. His name's Bailey. I'm going to say it. I don't care if he wants to. He can't censor out. Don't give him editorial control. So he got here. I thought, you know what? Bailey's here. That's something new. You know, I've been locked in jail. Now I'm on house arrest. Let's open a bottle of champagne. Don't worry, Bailey. Just one. 4 bottles of champagne later. And Bailey's like wishing for death. I'm like, you know, okay, fine. I'll let him go to sleep. But we stayed up all night talking politics, history, very, very interesting things, along with my coach, my physiotherapist, Alex, who hates drinking, by the way, but he'll partake sometimes. And, you know, it was just 3 guys together talking about, I feel like it's the way things should be, and the way things certainly were before mobile phones. Nowadays, everyone's too connected digitally. They speak to each other online too much. Everyone WhatsApps each other, checks on their friends that way. I like sitting around with my friends and just drinking and talking and having a good time and learning new things from them and telling them new things that they don't know. I find that to be incredibly fulfilling.
So
you were saying interests. You said cutters. You collect cutters and all this stuff.
I collect cigar lighters and cigar accessories. I'm a nerd about my cigars. I'm a real nerd about it. I tried my first cigar when I was 28. And now that I smoke a lot of cigars, people will accuse me of saying, oh, well, you try to teach values, but you encourage smoking. I don't encourage smoking. These are bad for you. But if you do them, train really hard in the gym, get as fit and strong as possible, at least try to compensate the damage. But yeah, I'm a nerd about my cigars. I smoked my first one when I was 28. I had a car crash, which stopped me from professionally fighting. I had some surgery just a year and a half ago to fix all that damage finally. But I thought, I can't fight anymore. I've always thought cigars looked cool. I'd never smoked a cigarette or any kind of tobacco product up until that point. And I walked into the cigar lounge. I thought, oh, yeah, this big Cuban cigar, let me buy one of these. I had some money even back then when I was 28. And I got this cigar. Got about halfway through and my head was spinning. I don't know how I drove home. I felt horrible. But yeah, now I smoke 2-3 cigars a day sometimes. Some days I'll go without smoking. But the accessories are what make it cool. You know, even here on the table, these have been here since your podcast with Andrew. But it's the lighters I like, the cutters I like. I'm a real nerd about it. Before going out, I'll pack my cigar cases, etc., ready for the club. Yeah.
What's your preference? Like, what do you go to? What's your go-to cigar?
Cigar? My favorite cigar is actually... So you have to liken them to champagne because most people won't know what we're talking about if we do cigars. So I'm going to make it more interesting. People who don't know champagne will say, yeah, give me some Dom Perignon. Every single time. I don't even like champagne. I don't like any champagne. But there are old Frenchmen who know that there's a Veuve Clicquot bottle that's better than the Dom Perignon if it's the right year, etc. So with cigars, everyone goes Cohiba. When you can buy Cubans when you're outside the United States, Cohiba is the Dom Perignon of cigars. It's got the yellow label. Everyone likes Cohibas. But this is not my favorite brand of cigar. But my favorite is H. Upmann. Now, they have a European name, even though they're Cuban, because a German businessman started that company in 1848. Cohiba was founded in 1966. It has much more history behind the brand, a much better quality cigar in terms of build and flavor, and they're about half the price. But me smoking H. Upmann's is not a budgetary decision. I mean, I'll buy cigars from the 1950s and smoke $6,000, $7,000 cigars just because I enjoy them. But H. Upmann are by far the best brand, hands down.
Can I give a quick shout out real quick?
Sure.
I only smoke cigars with two people. Their last name is either Tate or Sapala.
Okay.
So shout out to Matt Sapala, by the
He's
way. If
gonna
you're
love
watching
this.
this, you're going to love this. The finest of gentlemen, the Tates and the Sapala. That's it. That's a quick shout out. I very rarely smoke cigars, but if I do, it's with the Tate
Well,
or
actually,
Sapala.
Matt Sapala did a Manect call with Andrew
right.
last time, I think, using Manect,
Yeah.
and had a good conversation together. So, going back to you, spiritually, Tate comes out, Andrew comes out recently announcing he's a Muslim,
Yeah.
right? But in the podcast with us, he said, "You're still a Christian."
Yes.
What is that conversation like between the two of you?
Well, you have to understand, if you are a fan of Andrew who watches him on the internet, oh, he's converted to Islam, that's sudden. It wasn't sudden. It was a journey that I saw him go on, which certainly lasted at least 10, 11 months up into the day he reverted, according to Muslims. I'll use the proper terminology. Up until the day he reverted. I became a Christian about 6 years ago. I spent a lot of my life as an atheist, and I'm so ashamed to say that. I don't like the word. I think it's a bad word nowadays, because I was young and naive and stupid enough to think that people could be perfectly moral and live in a perfect, harmonious society without the need for religion. And about 6 or 7 years ago, I looked around the world, literally, at what people were doing. The massive fetishization, I'll call it, of abortion, the degeneracy in society, and everyone's an atheist. I thought, are these my people? And I was living in Romania, the most Orthodox Christian country in the world. My daughter's maternal grandfather is actually an Orthodox Christian priest. And I picked up the Bible again, and I read it from cover to cover, front to back. And that was 6 years ago when I became a Christian. Now, ever since Andrew's reversion, I have not spoken about my religious beliefs because there are teams on Twitter. So you guys get the exclusive. There are literally warring tribes on Twitter of Christian trolls, let's call them, and Muslim trolls, all fighting for my soul. Tristan, what do you believe in? Tristan, and I haven't mentioned my religion ever since Andrew's reversion to Islam. So there are people who think I'm a Muslim. There are people who know I'm a Christian. But for me, the values that are shared between the two faiths are both contrary to everything what Andrew would call the matrix is trying to shove down young people's throats and trying to program people to believe. I think the days of Christians and Muslims murdering each other in crusades and trying to take the holy city of Jerusalem, etc., are over. I think that there are ideological differences, and there are ignorant Christians who will be like, oh yeah, but Islam's a fake religion. But then there are ignorant Muslims who will say, oh, Christianity's a fake religion. Good, you're supposed to think that. They're different religions, and they do teach different things. They have different messengers, and they have slightly different messages. But as a whole, I'm perfectly happy living in a house when my brother is a Muslim, because 1, I respect his decision. 2, I understand why he reverted. 3, I understand that we have a common enemy we have an enemy in common, and we have the exact same goals. I feel like the religions now should be closer than ever before. It's fine to say, you believe things about God that I don't, and I believe things about God that you don't. But can we at least agree that this is wrong? And I feel like common ground would unite Christians and Muslims hand in hand if people were less standoffish. So I have no problem with my brother being a Muslim. He's quit drinking. I have lost my drinking partner. And the only reason I'm actually talking to you about religion and answering these questions, because I kept it very close to my heart and I haven't spoken to anybody about it, is because I am publicly drinking whiskey.
Well, if you need a new drinking partner, Tristan, I can help you out here.
Absolutely.
And
you're Jewish?
Yes,
There we
most
go.
of the time.
Muslims refer to Christians and Jews as people of the book. And you have to understand that Muslims hold Christians in very high regard. So I've read, even since getting out of jail, I've read 4 books on Islam since getting out of jail. And I was actually quizzed by a Muslim scholar who lives in the United Arab Emirates. He said, Tristan, are you ever going to revert to Islam? And I said to him, reversion or conversion to any religion, I don't believe it's something that you do. I believe it's something that happens to you. If you look into a subject and you read the Bible and you read about, Christianity and you read about the life of Jesus Christ, you don't think, you know what, yes, screw it, I'm a Christian. I feel like it's something that would have to happen to me, not something I choose to do. And I've even had people say, oh, your life would be better if you revert to Islam because, there'd be benefits of you living in the Middle East, etc. And I said, no. How disingenuous would that be to my Muslim friends and colleagues, of which I have many, to revert for any beneficial reason other than me genuinely feeling it within my soul? So that's the reason I haven't. Not because I haven't chosen to, but because it hasn't happened to me.
Right. So that means it could happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
You said so interesting. You just said something earlier, real brief. You tweeted out. You said positive pregnancy test ?
Yes.
Unsure what to do. This is the sign you were looking for. Keep the baby.
Yes.
Raise the baby. By the time they are 2, you will thank God you read this and shudder that you ever considered an abortion. I understand you have a choice, but make the right one.
Yes, I did tweet that because I understand that there is now a chance with 1.8 million people following me on Twitter and 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 people watching each of my tweets that I may have just saved a life. I wasn't trying to make any point about the legality of abortion because everyone's arguing underneath the tweet, oh, it should be legal, it should be illegal. I will actually upset both teams because I'm not pro-life or pro-choice. I believe that abortion should be legal under many circumstances, and there are many reasons why there are people in the world who for many reasons would need an abortion. What I do is I don't try to force my views on anyone else. So my view on abortion is very simple. I'm against abortion for me. I've made lots of money. I'm a smart guy. I'm a great dad. If I get some girl pregnant, even if it's by accident, it was my choice to sleep with her, and I'm going to make sure she brings that baby into the world and take care of it for the rest of its life. So I'm against it for me. I don't try to force my views on other people because otherwise we're going to start this whole debate. It's going to happen in the comment section of this video. Oh, but what if a woman gets raped? I'm against abortion being used as a form of contraception. So I'm on neither team. So both teams can get mad at me, and I don't really care. But yeah, I just thought with so many followers, maybe I'm going to get a letter in the mail in 17 years' time from somebody whose mother's going to tell them the story of the time she read Tristan Tate's tweet. And I thought that would be awesome.
Wow.
So that was my motivation. I wasn't trying to start a political argument because I really don't care enough about these issues to debate people on them because I know how I want to live my life. And if you're a crack addict on the streets of New York and you end up pregnant through sex work, I do believe there is a case where you personally don't need to be bringing a baby into the world. So I'm not going to tell you it's illegal. So I'm in the middle. So everyone can be mad at me. Everyone can hate me.
Do you like debate?
Oh, I love debates.
Do you like it as much as he likes debates?
Oh, I love debates.
Okay, so you love debates.
Oh, I love debates.
Okay, so politically, when you think about like, are you following politics closely? Do you watch the election? Do you follow the election closely?
I do. Yes.
What do you think about the elections in the U.S. right now? And the conditions in U.S. politically?
Jesus, I feel like both teams have psychos that they need to pander to the point where the whole process has become absolutely ridiculous. I feel like the right have fewer psychos who are less extreme that they have to pander to than the left. But you take people who say very normal things, and again, this is going to get me in trouble, like men can't get pregnant. And people who've been alive since the 1950s, since the 1960s, people who know that's not true, now have to pretend that they think it is true. And I'm like, I'm not going to go into what you think about foreign policy. I'm not going to go into what you think about the issues America's facing, because you just said men can get pregnant. So you're an idiot. And I feel like the pandering to all these special groups, whether it be the military-industrial complex, let's not go down that road, or the insane, I won't say the LGBTQ insane people, I'll say the QT plus people, because I think LGB and QT plus should be completely separate things. Yeah, it's very hard to take any American politician seriously. I do know who I want to be the next president of the United States. You probably know who I want to be the next president of the United States.
Joe Biden guy we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Do
No,
you consider? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, the audience doesn't know this. When you walk in here, there's a, is it 6 feet or 8 feet painting of President Joe Biden? I was so impressed.